All right, good afternoon, everyone. Happy to have you join me this cooler Tuesday now. So welcome to the talk about building community-first NFT exchanges. So I am Jessica. I'm the developer advocate at ZeroX Labs. And before I start, I'd actually like to get a lay of who's in the room. So who out there has heard of ZeroX before? Oh, wow, OK, good number. Who has built with ZeroX, either the API or the NFT swapping capabilities? Nice. And then anyone out there building NFT-related applications right now? OK, nice. OK, so then with that, let me just get started with the agenda for today. So the first half of the talk will be a little bit more conceptual. So I'll be covering what ZeroX is, how it works, and then talking about the state of NFT exchanging right now. And then after that, I'll dive more into the technical details of how the swapping SDK works. OK, so starting with the overview of ZeroX. So at ZeroX, we believe that eventually all forms of value will be tokenized on public blockchains. And so our mission that we're driving towards is creating a tokenized world where all value can flow freely. And what this means is we're creating the public infrastructure that enables these tokenized assets to be more accessible, more liquid, and then enable the creation of new markets that couldn't have existed before. So here's a bird's eye view of the ZeroX ecosystem. So essentially, there's two players. So on your left are the makers, and the right are the takers. So in a single trade, there's a market maker. And so market makers are providing asset liquidity into the system. So assets can be ERC20s, 721s, or 1155s. These market makers are probably projects that you've heard about. They're DEXs, AMMs, professional market makers. Some examples are Uniswap, Kyber, Curve. And then takers, on the other hand, are those projects that are picking up the asset liquidity. And these projects can include exchanges, wallets, NFT marketplaces. Some example projects are MetaMask wallet, Polygon wallet, Brave, and a number of others. And what ZeroX does is we sit in between these two players, and we provide an API, a protocol, and a set of developer tools that enable these parties to easily exchange. And then we do this on a number of blockchains, so Ethereum and 6 other EVM and L2 chains. So how exactly is ZeroX enabling this exchange? So here's a high-level overview of our tech stack. As I said before, at the very bottom are the blockchains that we support. On top of that is our protocol. So this is a set of audited smart contracts that enable the exchange and then enable the exchange and enable the settlement logic. On top of that are the developer tools that we provide. So we have the API. So this is specifically focused on ERC20 exchanging, so aggregating liquidity and surfacing the best price to the taker applications. And then our NFT Swap SDK that I'll be talking about. And then oh, yeah, so here's a visual of that. And then on top of that are the applications that are leveraging the tooling underneath this. OK, so what I have here is a simplified diagram of how a trade works. Right, so if we look at a single trade between a maker and a taker, oh, well, this was supposed to be a GIF, but this is in a PDF, so you don't actually see it running. But essentially what's supposed to be happening is, so the maker, so off-chain and on-chain, right? So the maker off-chain, they create an order. So this order is just a JSON object of a standard format. It indicates the asset that they are committed to trading. So they're committed to trading ERC20s, for example. This order is hashed, they sign it, and then they pass it off-chain. So ZeroX, we aggregate all these orders, and then we surface the best price to the taker. So the taker, on the other side, finds this order that they want to fulfill, and then they sign it, and then they pass it on-chain to our smart contract. The smart contract confirms that both parties have the assets and the trade is valid, and then it atomically swaps the assets between the taker and maker's wallet. And all this happens behind the scenes. OK, so that was an overview of the ZeroX capabilities. And I want to talk now about the state of NFT exchanging. So I guess to go back a little bit, so the idea of exchanging right now, especially in NFTs, I think is a real study of how humans exchange value, a study of how humans exchange value, right? So we're definitely at a very early stage of NFT exchanging, and so I think some of the suggestions that I'll be posing right now hopefully will help you think about how we can build towards the future of exchange. So essentially, if we look at the existing current state of NFT exchange, I would summarize it to two adjectives. So there's limited interactivity, and then we're often pushed to one-size-fits-all marketplaces. So what this looks like in practice is we can easily read NFTs, but there's not much interactivity with it. So for example, we can view a PFP on Twitter, we can view them in our wallet, but if we ever want to exchange it, we're pushed off to these other marketplaces. So there's not a real native experience within the application. And so these one-size-fits-all marketplaces, they are great for what they do, but I think there's definitely a lot more opportunities, especially as the use cases for NFTs evolve. Right now we use them for kind of simplified use cases, but imagine as the use cases expand to, say, contracts, housing leases, identity. These large marketplaces aren't nuanced enough to really handle that exchange capability. So if we look to the future, what can we imagine? Perhaps there'll be more in-app experiences. And then the way that we exchange them are probably going to be more community-centric and more peer-to-peer. And then the abilities that we can leverage from NFTs, such as properties, the properties that come from them, there's definitely a lot that we can build off of that property-based ordering. So let's take a look at in-app experiences. So in that first example with the Twitter profile picture, imagine the user clicks on it, and they're able to directly trade the NFT with their peer in chat. So the example I have here is a project called Trader, and so they're actually, they were provided a grant by the Xerox DAO, and they created this open source SDK that enables the peer-to-peer trading of NFTs. So essentially, you pick your token, you name your price, and then you get a unique link that you can send off to anyone. Another one that we kind of have slowly seen gather more traction is community-first marketplaces. So think of your favorite NFT collection right now. Often you can go to the website and you can view the NFTs, but if you ever want to purchase them, you're pushed off to these larger marketplaces again. But imagine you had in-house marketplace sales directly within the community website. Imagine the customization that you could do. Imagine the sort of utility that you could customize there. So this is just a little quote from one of the product leads at Xerox. So to summarize, essentially, existing NFT marketplaces and aggregators don't offer a differentiated experience, but native experiences can offer so much more. So why go to Bloomingdale's if you want to buy a boutique bag? So yeah, why would you go to Bloomingdale's? Because then you get that customized experience there. So it's a very curated experience that people are looking for. And this idea is not new. So I want to kind of point back to, think of Craiglist right now. Craiglist back in the day, they definitely proved the idea of this online bulletin board. And it housed so many different markets, right? But we started seeing specializations of markets coming up. So housing, we came up with Airbnb. Used car sales, Carvana. So we see this evolution to specialization. Okay, so kind of related to that, I want to talk about properties-based orders. So Trader also has come up with this concept of property-based ordering. So if we look at NFT collections right now, they have properties, so you can filter on them, but you can't really act on them. So in this paradigm, we're able to create orders based off of the properties themselves. So this means that every trait itself becomes a market. So you're essentially creating derivatives on these markets. So you have this Tubby Cats project here. tubby cats have mohawks, some have bubblegum. You can have very specific markets for each of these properties. And here is just like a simplified UI of what that could look like. Traders building out this marketplace. And so you create your order, and then after you create your order, trader will actually actively track any matching orders across exchanges. And so this creates essentially the first two-sided marketplace. So and then another thing that they've added on as well is you're able to share this specific offer with anyone, so you get more peer-to-peer exchange. And if you do want to learn more about this, I recommend checking out this interview that we did with the trader team. So we have a bi-weekly live stream with different projects that build on 0x. And I'll have a link to this at the very end with the QR code. OK, so we kind of have that conceptual overview laid. Let's take a look now at the technicals of how the swap capability, Swap SDK, can help you add this into your application. OK, so just want to recap that we're talking about this specific library here. So this is just a TypeScript library that makes it really easy to trade any NFTs in just a few lines of code. So you can add this into your mobile app, your web app. And so why build on 0x? So I mentioned before, off-chain listing. Actually, I don't know if I mentioned this, but off-chain listing is actually free. So that's something that makes 0x unique and quite flexible. And then there is the option if you want to submit orders on-chain. There are some projects that want to do that. We give you that optionality. Compared to other leading NFT protocols, we're up to 54% more gas efficient. We also offer collection-based orders, properties-based orders, as well as providing instant royalties to creators. So this means as you're creating your order, you can put in fees, and these could be multiple fees to either the DAO or the creator, and then we are by default multi-chain. OK, so how does a trade work simplified? And we've kind of seen this before, so I'll zoom through a little bit. So the maker has a NFT, and then they're looking for some USDC for it. So the maker creates an order. They're going to create the order using the build order method. And so they set the asset that they want, so the asset that they have, the asset that they want, and then the wallet that they want to receive it in. And this is a very simplified code example. I'll dive more into this in a little bit. All right, so next, the maker signs the order. So we saw, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but maker signs the order to confirm that they have it. And the taker, when they find the order that they want, they fill this order using the fill signed order method. And with that, the swap is complete. So it's very straightforward. So just to summarize, maker creates the order, they sign it, the taker fills it, and then the order is submitted on-chain for settlement. So you should kind of see this visual in your mind. OK, so to deep dive more into how the SDK works, so really simple, just yarn or npm install of this package. And then setting up some configurations up front, so supplying the provider, the signer, the chain ID, and then creating an instance of the NFT Swap v4. OK, from there, we see this same flow again. So won't go too much more into detail. So initially, we set out the constants. Here, I'm going to set it up just directly, but you're likely going to be receiving this in from your app, so whether your web app or mobile app. So user inputs. The maker creates the order. They sign it. And then the taker fills it. And then they submit it on-chain. OK, so in those examples we saw that the taker was essentially immediately available. So what if there is not a taker immediately available? Well, this is where an order book comes in. So the trader team that created this SDK, they have a free publicly hosted order book. So for those of you who haven't used an order book before, so what this means is think of essentially a book of orders, right? So makers come in, they place their orders onto this book, and then takers can come over and look through the book, and if they find an order that they want, they can pick that up. So this allows for asynchronous order creating and picking up. So we see this really as a useful trait for auctions. So you see this already, say, in OpenSea. So your bids are essentially someone putting up a bid offer, and then you see it hosted in the order book here. So kind of quick summary in code. What it looks like is we are creating an offer. We're saying we will offer this amount of WETH to pick up this NFT. So this order is then signed, and then it's placed onto the order book. And then on the flip side, an ask. So essentially, there's an order that's an NFT that's sitting out there. They're asking for a certain amount of WETH to be received. And the same process goes. They sign the order, and then they put this order on the order book, and it's just waiting there for someone to pay that 15 ETH to pick it up. And so where that flows into the process that we saw before, we just simply add it after the maker signs it. So they create the order, they sign it, they post on the order book, it sits and waits there until a taker comes by and picks it up. So we kind of saw this already in code. So maker creates it, sign it, post it, and then up at the top, I wanted to say that when the taker is looking for the order, they can look through the order book for different options that they want. So they can either search by a specific NFT that they want, or perhaps they search by a specific type of NFT that they want, or they search by the unique nonce of the NFT. Okay, so we kind of talked about the basic fundamentals of how the NFT swap works. Swap SDK works. I'm going to talk about some additional features that are quite interesting. So I mentioned earlier with the royalties and fees. So this is just added into the build order method. So here the fees are paid by the buyer of the NFT. They're paid in addition to the amount that is paid for the NFT. And you can also support multiple fees. So this enables apps to be monetized. So monetizing swapping capabilities. You can pay your DAO perhaps for creating the project or creating the NFT. Pay the creator. Collection-based orders. So this allows users to bid on any NFT from a specific collection. So for example, you want a doodle, but you don't care which doodle, just any doodle. And you can use the build collection-based order method to easily do this. So you just set the asset that you're willing to pay, and then the asset that you want to buy, so the contract address of this collection, and then which wallet address to receive it in. All right, so with that, I just covered quite a bit. So just to recap, with the NFT Swap SDK portion, we looked at a simple example of swapping NFT to ERC20s, and this can be easily switched to ERC20 to NFTs. We looked at how hosted order books work, and then we covered some additional features. And if you want to learn more about this, I highly recommend taking a look at the NFT Swap SDK resources. They go a lot more into detail beyond what I covered here, and they have some very thorough examples in the documentation. And speaking of documentation, so lastly, here are some resources. On the left-hand side are the NFT SDK specific resources. You can look at the docs. The trader team is very active in the Discord channel, so if you have questions there about the product, highly recommend checking that out. On the right-hand side, if you have questions about the protocol, there's some documentation as well as a blog post about the functionality that was added in. We also have a Discord channel, and if you have technical questions, check out the Stack Exchange. And then, yeah, we are a global community, so yeah, please feel free to reach out to us. And then, yeah, lastly, we are definitely hiring, so please feel free to take a look. And if you have questions, yeah, please reach out to me, or if you would like the slide deck, there's a QR code here. So I guess I will pause and open it up for any questions, if there's any from the audience. Cool. I guess with that, we will wrap it up. And yeah, thanks for your time.